All right, friends, I like to switch gears a little bit now and turn to our weekly worldview segment. As you know, there's been a lot in the news this week, and as Christians, we want to try to analyze and evaluate the week's headlines through the lens of a biblical worldview. And that's why I like to conclude the Friday broadcast with a biblical worldview segment. And so joining me now for this is David Closson. He's the director of the Center for Biblical Worldview here at the Family Research Council. David, thank you again so much for joining us. Always great to have you on the Friday program.
Great to be with you, Jerry.
All right, listen, let's jump right into this. A little while ago, I don't know if you heard, but we were talking about the so-called bathroom battle that's taking place on Capitol Hill. Garnered a lot of media attention this week. And of course, without a doubt, the issue of transgenderism has taken America by storm over the last few years. But for Christians who are following the story, how should we think about this biblically?
Yeah, Jody, so for just anyone who might not be aware of what we're talking about, just a couple of weeks ago, Delaware elected the first person who identifies as transgender to Congress. So this person identifies as Sarah McBride. This is a biological male who has socially transitioned to present as a woman. And because of this situation that's looming, Jody, you have representatives such as Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene who have kind of rightfully drawn a lot of attention to this. And I think, Jody, as Christians, we need to, the politics is really important, and I'm grateful for the speaker's leadership on this. But as Christians, we first and foremost realize this issue goes to the level of ontology, of being. This is an issue of the created order. And this isn't something we're not used to talking about. We've been talking about this issue in terms of bathrooms and in terms of surgeries and in terms of sports teams. But the moral revolution has now come to Washington, D.C. And I do hope, though, that as Christians are paying attention to this, we realize this is an issue, as Christians, we speak the truth in love, Ephesians 4:15, but this is an issue we cannot compromise on, because, again, this is an issue literally related to the created order, male and female. It doesn't get any more basic than this.
And as you said, and I think it's important to make sure our audience heard this, that you said this individual has socially transitioned. So this is still a biological male who's just identifying as female. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's right. And I think we need to just be really clear. Mike Johnson said it earlier this week. You cannot change your sex. It's impossible. The entire house of transgenderism is a house of cards that scientifically, biologically, there is actually no basis for this. And I think, again, we as Christians believe all people are made in God's image, have value and dignity. So this individual who goes by Sarah McBride deserves our prayers. They deserve our respect. But we cannot go along with something that is fundamentally an untruth.
Yeah, prayers and respect is vastly different from affirmation. So very good point. If I can switch gears with you, David, we've talked a lot over and over about the importance of worldview as it relates to every area of life, but in particular politics. And an example of one's worldview driving their politics appeared earlier this week when President Biden honored former Planned Parenthood leader Cecile Richards with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That probably shocked a lot of people. What was your response to that?
Well, if that's the criteria of earning our highest civilian award, Jody, I think maybe the people who give out the Nobel Peace Prize should think about giving it to Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas. It doesn't make any sense. The people who have previously earned this award, the highest civilian award, given by the president, is people like Martin Luther King Jr., Billy Graham, Jackie Robinson, our nation's best. Cecile Richards, if you're not familiar, this was the leader of Planned Parenthood for 12 years. Under her watch at Planned Parenthood, 4 million babies were aborted, were butchered. But again, this shows the priorities. Again, worldview, from worldview flows policies, flows decisions, flows a whole system of ethics. And in the eyes of the Biden-Harris administration, Cecile Richards is someone who is worthy of honor and respect. And again, this is someone who's actually recently been dealing with cancer, a pretty aggressive diagnosis. So again, as Christians, we should pray for Miss Richards, but we don't honor someone like this, in my view, who again has her professional career was advancing abortion on demand, advancing again just the Holocaust for the unborn.
Wow. All right, David, just a couple of minutes left, but one more issue that I'd like to toss your way. This week, Chuck Schumer has confirmed several of the Biden nominees to lifetime appointments to the federal bench. So this whole issue of judges, the issue of courts, why is this so important to Christians, and where is this a biblically based important issue?
Well, I think, Christians need to look at this issue and understand this is kind of civics 101. You know, we have the three branches of government. We have the executive, which is the president. We have the legislative branch, the House and the Senate. And then we have the judicial branch. Underneath the Supreme Court, you know, you have all these other levels. You have the appellate level and you have the district level. When you are appointed, the president appoints you judges to serve. These are lifetime appointments. People who are appointed by Ronald Reagan are still serving in these lifetime capacities, and they make decisions, Jody, on issues related to family and religious freedom. There's a case before the Supreme Court originating from Tennessee dealing with these transgender surgeries for minor children. And so again, I take it back to, as Christians, we love our neighbor. We want to be good stewards of everything that God has given us. And so we care about the government, we care about the legislative process, and we care who serves on the judicial branch. I did see recently, Jody, earlier this week, that they made a compromise. They're going to get, I think, 6 or 7 district level judges, but they won't schedule a vote for 4 appellate level judgeships that'll be open for the incoming administration, which I think that's probably a good negotiated settlement or agreement. But again, all of this matters, Jody, because people matter, and it's important for us to be tracking all of this and paying attention.
And justice matters, and Lady Justice continuing to be blindfolded matters, and all of that rests upon the appointment of judges. Thank you, David Closson, Director of FRC's Center for Biblical Worldview. I always look forward to this time on Friday afternoons to speak with you and to kind of get a wrap from a biblical perspective on all the issues happening in the news. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we look forward to your new little baby on the way.
Thank you, Jody. God bless.